Well, and here it is, my first real module dimension sequencer. I've paid 106 British pounds, all in all, including tax and transport, and I hope I'll manage to build it and make it work. Let me see at first what's in the parcel. I'm not going, by the way, I'm not going to bore you by long and detailed descriptions of my soldering work, only if there's something interesting to tell or to show concerning the building process, some problems, for example, or something I've discovered to learn, what's interesting to learn, then of course I will let you know. Yes, so let's have a look what we have got here. Okay. Stickers. Well, that's empty. Let's put the sticker away. All right. I didn't know that this cable is inside to this power cable. I'm happy about that because I don't have any at the moment here. So what do we have here? Yeah, the front plate. And put it away. Yeah, two PCBs, one more sticker. Yeah, Transit Modules is the manufacturer. What's that? One more sticker. Well, it's not. Well, it looks quite packed, but it's not more packed than the Atari. The Atari Punk console I have made. So, okay, we will see. We will see. Yes, and everything is written on the PCB as well. So here are the potentiometers and the jacks, and here are the rest of the components. Yes, first of all, I'm going to sort all these components, and perhaps you will remember my experiences with the Atari Punk console and unsorted components. Well, if you don't, I do remember, so I will sort these things at first, especially these, the content of this bag. Well, yes, here they are. Well, and here they are, completely sorted, perhaps not the most professional way, but the only way I can do it today, because I don't have anything else at hand. I think I'll spend some money. It's not that expensive for professional, more professional way to organize and sort things like this. So what do we have? We have the front panel and the PCBs and the power cable here. Put it at the side. Then here are jacks and rings and potentiometers. Can you see it? I hope you can see it. Yeah, I hope so. All right. Then here are capacitors. It's not necessary, I think, to sort them, to sort even the capacitors, because it's easy to see. They are completely different in size and color. It's easy to see what kind, what value, what kind, electro, alco or not, and what size, what value they have. Then here are transistors, I think, all are transistors, 3 poles, yeah. Looks like, we will see. I will have to look it up in the description. Here are 3 things. I think these are diodes, perhaps even these ones. And there's a part, I don't know what it is. We will see. Then here we have integrated circuits over here. Here are purely mechanical elements. Here are the diodes, and here are 3 different kinds of four different kinds of resistors. Okay, I hope, having sorted it this way, I can start soldering. Ah yes, I must not forget to mention that there are, of course, some really helpful videos about soldering on YouTube and other advices on the web. I have watched a lot of them and I've read a lot of them. And there's even one video, what I've discovered, perhaps there are more, which tells at least a bit about soldering exactly this 8S sequencer. And even that I have watched and made some notes. I will tell you about it a little bit more while I'm producing this thing. I hope so, at least. And here it is, the first real problem. I had expected problems with the small sizes of the parts or with complicated and difficult building situations, but nothing of these things happened. It was the soldering iron that decided to make trouble. The problem occurred while I was soldering the capacitors. Suddenly the solder would not properly melt away and refused to make a good connection. It built small pellets at the soldering point and things like that. I cleaned the soldering tip, no changes. I controlled the temperature, 325 degrees Celsius, like always. I mentioned in the first video of my diary that I'm quite skilled in soldering cables and adapters and jacks and plugs. According to my experience, temperatures of much more than 350 make the solder run away from the iron. I use special solder containing 60% tin and 40% lead, and it includes welding flux. This solder melts somewhere between 180 degrees and 190 degrees, and 325 degrees is ideal for soldering cables and plugs and so on. And it worked without problems with soldering the resistors. Well, I cleaned the tip of the iron again without success. Time for experiments, therefore. I reduced the temperature to 300 degrees. The solder wouldn't melt properly anymore. It got kind of, well, let's say, ultra soft, but didn't really melt. Strange, it should melt at 190 degrees. Now I've got 300 degrees. I returned to my 325 degrees from the beginning, and now the solder tries to escape from the iron, what it normally does when the temperature is far too high, somewhat about or even above 400 degrees. Sometimes the solder builds a pellet that runs away from the tip and up the iron, again a clear proof that the iron's temperature is far too high, what it isn't at 325 degrees. Reducing the temperature only a bit made the material go completely crazy. Once it melted and built the mentioned pellets, and once, without having changed the temperature, it didn't even make the slightest effort to melt at all. Well, I won't make my remarks even longer and tell you what had happened. My good old soldering station had gone to Manitou, to heaven, where it is sitting now together with old Shatterhand, John Wayne, Albert Einstein, and Marilyn Monroe. And my soldering station. Ha! I have to buy a new one. Well, Instead of showing you my nice new module, the sequencer, I can only tell the sad story of a dead soldering station today. All my soldered cables, jacks and plugs are weeping.